Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Vaughn Lane. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, and get your questions in. Got quite a bit to talk about this morning, I'd say, and we're going to start with basketball because that's obviously the hot topic of today. Of course, Texas fell last night 86-80 after leading the entire first half. Jerry, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, the box score's wrong. Texas was 19-16. Don't hand RT another loss. I would say, look, Texas was the more talented team. If you look at the players in the game and future careers and that sort of thing in basketball. Sean Miller is one of the best offensive coaches in college basketball, has been for many, many years. And, Texas was up double digits. They got Fremantle and Conwell in the early foul trouble. And that when Conwell got his third, and Jay Wright said it on the halftime. He said Xavier was lucky to be within 8 at that point in time. And Texas should have ran that. And Texas played well offensively in the first half. And Texas should have ran that thing up to 11-12 at the half, considering Fremantle and Conwell were pretty much not involved in the last few minutes, other than Conwell playing with his hands up, trying not to get a third foul. He had no aggression. His aggression was taken away due to foul trouble. But late in the game, it's kind of the microcosm. It's the same things as not using timeouts effectively in late game situations and in in-game situations. It's, again, when you run up, and one of the things I talk about all the time is defensive coaches trade offense for defense late in games. And y'all know I love Kendall Weaver. I thought Kendall Weaver could have been a guy Texas signed out of high school, even though he had no offers. I think the kid's a tremendous role player that will probably will his way into an overseas career in basketball. On some level, not the highest level, but on some level, and keep trying to build his game offensively. But trading defense for offense late in these games against good offensive coaches that have good offensive teams, that's not what gets it done, man. It's just not. I mean, I don't care how good a defense you play in the modern day, people are going to score the basketball on you. And you have to turn around and put that same pressure on the team you're playing. And Xavier didn't guard Kendall Weaver. He's not involved in the half-court offense, and I'm not putting it on Kendall, but what I am saying is Texas went to 4-on-5 offensively in ISO basketball, and there were no timeouts in the last two and a half minutes of the game, and it was really one great offensive coach out there going up against a defensive coach. And in today's modern day basketball, people have talked – I've been talking about it with Kelvin Sampson for years, and Kelvin's trying to play faster this year, but he got dotted against Scott Drew and that team that won a national title. You can't trade defense for offense, man. I mean, you have to play good enough defense, but this is an offensive game. There's a reason in the SEC, Florida and Alabama and all these people are putting up 85 on you, even if you play good defense. I mean, they're tremendous offensive coaches. They're analytic driven, yes, but they're tremendous offensive coaches with tremendous coaching feel. For the game, great use of timeouts. They get good shots out of timeouts, off inbounds plays. They maximize everything they can do offensively. And at the end of the day, that's really what this game comes down to a lot of times is who's going to execute and score in tight games and closing minutes of games, and how do you effectively use your timeouts and your personnel. And that was – you saw one go one way and you saw one go the other.
My issue, I watched the game beginning to end last night. And Jerry, I think that you're right. Your summation that Texas had the more athletic players is great. I don't think they had the better team. And I think that proved out over time. And nothing was more emblematic of that than the last 2.5 minutes of that game. Xavier passed the ball crisply, got open looks almost every single trip down the court. Whereas Texas, to your point, you called it ISO ball. They went one-on-one with either Tremont Mark or Trey Johnson. And some of those shots were good shots, and most of them were not. They were contested. I also thought I thought that Xavier got away with some fouls in the second half that they didn't give. They called in the first half that The refs kind of loosened their whistle as the game went on, especially on drives to the bucket, and that kind of hurt Tremont Mark in particular with some turnovers. But by and large, this was and I said this last night, we did kind of an emergency podcast after the game. The coaching style and what they had was never more, the difference between the two was never more evident than in the last 2.5 minutes in the game. Period. End of story. Sean Miller takes a timeout to make sure his team's got the right shot. The team passes the ball around. Multiple players for Xavier take shots, not just two. And it's not just waiting for the shot clock to run down and then go to the rim. There was nothing more evident of what a basketball game probably should look like versus what it did look like. And so as we go forward, now we're going to be talking about, unfortunately, Rodney Terry's job future, which I believe is coming to an end.
I do too.
Prior to this, 2 weeks ago, that if Rodney Terry did not make a fairly strong run in the NCAA tournament, that he would be no longer the head coach of the University of Texas. We do not believe that has happened yet. I want to say that as of 8 o'clock this morning, at least. But I do think that's going to happen eventually. Jerry, you have more information on that side of the lane almost immediately right now. What do you have update on Rodney Terry's job future?
People know what we said on live stream, what we've been saying here. I can report the latest for people wondering. Texas basketball team is still in Dayton. They have not returned home yet. They return home around lunchtime today. CDC is not in Dayton, so anybody expecting tarmac firings or anything like that, that's not or CDC, and that's not where this is at. The team remains in Dayton after the game last night. They will be home early afternoon, and then we'll see how things move. Yes, CDC is in H-Town, Sandman, with Sarkeesian. So then we'll see how quickly things move. But here's the thing: when you have to move pretty quickly because the portal opens March 25th, closes April 15th. So it's not a mad dash on March 25th. But I think things will move fairly quickly here. But anybody expecting anything late last night or early this morning, that's not happening. Texas does not return from Dayton until around lunchtime or a little after. Blake's muted. Yes.
Yeah, but I didn't talk.
No, we didn't. We needed to get that out of the way.
Yeah, I did not talk. I knew I was muted, so that doesn't count. All right. Before we move on, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone out there about the good folks at Vaughn Lane.
Yeah, absolutely. New sponsor and someone we really like. Tired of the hassle of flying or driving in Texas? Driving yourself on I-35, I-45, or I-10 is stressful. Airports, especially in Austin right now, long lines, security stress, cramped seats. Just getting to your destination feels exhausting. The line can wrap around outside just to get through TSA. Next time you need to travel between Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, or San Antonio, skip all that stress. Ride Vaughn Lane, your private jet on wheels. Arrive just minutes before your departure at one of Vaughn Lane's centrally located luxurious hotel partners. When I say minutes before, you don't have to show up 2 hours before, get your bags packed or checked, then go through security, and then you wait in line for your seat. Get there 15, 20 minutes before, settle into your spacious reclining seat with tons of leg room and personal space. Enjoy complimentary snacks, drinks, Wi-Fi, even meals on select departures, all while you sit back and relax. Experience travel the way it should be. Visit vaughnlane.com and use promo code OTF25 for $20 off your first trip. Vaughn Lane, first class travel without the hassle. That's vaughnlane.com. Use code OTF25 for $25 off your first trip. Thank you for sponsoring Thursday mornings Coffee and Football.
So what we wanted to do next, I asked Blake to download a video I wanted to play for you guys. It was on Instagram recently. And we talk about after the move is made, what does Texas need as the next basketball coach? listen to this video, and then we're going to get into it because this is absolutely needs to be Texas' way of thinking.
This is Gino Auriemma, and let me cue it up. This is Gino Auriemma and Danny Hurley, the two coaches at UConn, who have both won multiple national
11 national titles combined. Go.
And I'm going offense. I'm recruiting offense.
Oh, yeah.
I've made that mistake. I will not make it. I'm recruiting offensive players that are tough, that will be willing to defend for you, but I'm no longer going off defensive, hard-playing guys that we're going to have to try to teach them to play great offense. I think that's
no, that's an impossible teach. I've tried it. If you got enough guys that are going to score 1,000 points, you're going to win a lot of games. I don't care how good they are defensively.
This is it. Look, Todd Golden, Nate Oates, all these guys you're going to have to compete with in the SEC and on the national level at the highest level. And I just use two guys because those guys are on top of the SEC. And Bruce Pearl, when he has shooters with his style of play. And Mark Pope, when he gets his players at Kentucky, he's a tremendous offensive coach. This is the days of grinded out defense and low possession games. Those guys are going by the wayside in college basketball. That's not what the kids see when they turn on NBA games. That's not what the rules of basketball are made for. This needs to be a tremendous offensive hire. And normally with your tremendous offensive coaches, they also do a really good job building a roster and maximize those teams because they're thinking about it from an offensive standpoint. But it doesn't mean you don't play good defense. You play good defense, but you have to be good defense, willing defenders, but great offense. That's where this is at. I mean, there's a reason that Florida and Alabama and all these people, I mean, look at the games Texas lost 103-80 at home to Alabama. 84-60 got blown out on the road at Florida. 83 against Auburn. I mean, you score 83 at home and you still lose. I mean, you have to have a really bright offensive mind that's going to put that roster together in an offensive way and get those guys to play defense for you to where you are good enough defensively to win a title because you're also great offensively. That's where the game is at. And that's why you've seen people that talk about Kelvin Sampson. Even Kelvin Sampson's trying to speed up his pace of play. And with his recruiting class in 2025 that's coming in next year, he's gone away from – he knows he's getting down to his last couple of years. He's trying to bring in more offensive talent on these teams, and he's trying to play a little faster because he realizes he has to change. These the days of the 61, 62 possessions a game – man, that's not where it's at. The game's too analytic driven. There's too much talent and length and athleticism in college basketball. Too many guys who are high-level shooters in basketball. So if Texas needs to be thinking, and I think they are, that direction. And if they find that guy, Texas basketball has. I've always believed Texas basketball can have what Florida's had with the right person on the staff, a right person as the head coach and the right staff, and I'll go to my grave believing if it never happens.
We'll see where Texas goes. I think Chris Del Conte has made it really clear that he's going to go after a coach he thinks can compete at the national level. Period. So I don't think he's going to. And what I mean by that, Blake and Jerry and everybody else, is I don't think whoever this hire will be, and I do believe that there will be a hire. If you're just now joining us, we believe that Rodney Terry will be relieved of duties at some level over the next, 48 to 72 hours. Jerry reporting that the team is still in Dayton at this point, and CDC is not. Texas will not return until early this afternoon from Dayton. So Rodney CDC is not going to fire him via text, right? So we'll see how all this goes, what happens. But where I was going with all of this, people are saying, oh, well, Texas had never put the resources into basketball. They haven't had Chris Del Conte as their athletic director up to this point, where every single sport he's going for the jugular. He really is. I don't know how else to put it for that. And number two, they haven't had the Moody. I mean, that is a big piece of the pie because Texas wants to fill that every single night. And they've got it set up. If they have a great basketball team, that will actually pay for itself even more. That's the way it is. And so I feel strongly that people worried about whether or not Texas is going to make an investment in basketball or is willing to make that investment, you're looking at it from the wrong side. Jerry, I don't feel like you're questioning that. You're saying, I just want to see it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that, to your point, I don't know that we've seen that in the last 25 years, even with Rick Barnes at times. I don't know.
Look, yeah, I mean, the other thing for this next coach at Texas, it's going to be a straight mercenary hire. I mean, that's where it's at. Unless Texas goes, and I'm not saying they will or they should. This is discussion purposes. Unless they go the way of Royale Ivey, there's no UT grad out there. And by the way, I think Royale, whatever it is, NBA head coach, whatever he does, he's going to be great at it. I firmly believe that. But so let's just say it's not. It's a mercenary hire. And the guy the level of coach you're going to want to bring in, because your back's now against the wall when you've watched Florida. Somebody brought up Todd Golden to Texas. I mean, Florida's a better job, and he's got that thing humming. Why? I mean, and they had his back in some recent allegations. Why would he leave? Because Florida will pay him whatever have to keep him. If you had his back during some recent issues, you're not going to let the guy go over money. So, Texas backs against the wall here. If you want to be a truly top tier level SEC team, which means you're a top 10 level team in the country in college basketball, doesn't mean you're going to be there in the AP poll every year, but maybe 3 out of 5 you are and have a chance to make deep runs in the tournament. You're going to have to spend at a level you never have before. I mean, and that's going to could be $7 to $8 million a year for a head coach. And maybe more important than that for me, Bobby, is the higher salary pool for assistants, analytics, strength and conditioning than ever. And because it's a mercenary hire, it's going to come with an NIL guarantee. Because if you say, hey, we got $3.5 million NIL, they're going to be like, I mean, Duke's at 6. Kentucky.
Hey, somebody's asking in the chat, and I think you need to clarify something. A mercenary hire to you is what? I mean, because ultimately that's what all these coaches are. I mean, frankly, now I know there are some that have.
Beard wasn't a mercenary hire because he was a Texas grad, and he came for less money. He came for less money than Tech would have paid him to keep him, right? That's what I'd say. And unless you hired Royale, a Texas graduate, right, and you could pay him $4.5 million and have a higher salary pool and everything else. It's a mercenary hire. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Is you're going to have to spend big in ways you never have to achieve what you want. And those guys don't look at the guys you're going to hire aren't looking at Texas basketball, say a destination job in college basketball. Woo, finally got that. That's not the way they're looking at it. And that doesn't mean Texas is in a great job, because I think it can be everything Florida's had with the right hire. But they also have all the leverage against Texas. They know Texas, where Texas basketball's at right now.
I guess my point, though, is this, other than a Royal Ivy, to your point, and Bobby Petronic says this, everyone's a mercenary. I mean, at some level, Steve Sarkisian is. I mean, Jim Schlossnagle is.
Yeah, but see, I disagree.
But why do you consider basketball coaches different than those?
No, but when I say mercenary hires, this is what I'm talking about. Beard came to Texas as a Texas graduate for less money than Tech would have paid him to stay. That's not a mercenary hire.
No, but I'm comparing him to other coaches on the Texas staff. What's going to be different with this basketball coach?
Well,
whoever it is.
That's what I'm saying.
The football coach or the baseball coach.
But that's
those guys didn't graduate from Texas.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though, is like unless you hire Royale, it's a mercenary hire, right? That's what we're talking about. It's not somebody that's giving you a better deal because they want to be the coach at Texas and saying, hey, I'll come for a little less than what Texas Tech was going to pay me to stay, but I'm coming for less, but I want more of a salary pool for my assistants, and I want to add an analytics department and blah, 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 and I want to build this thing out like a pro model. Well, that guy's not really out there. So whoever Texas hires is going to have all the leverage. They're not going to say, man, I'm a Texas grad, so you're going to get me for a little less as long as I can build this thing out the way I want. That's not happening. Whoever they hire is going to be like, hey, man, this is what I need. And if we want to get the deal done, I'm open to it.
Yeah, I think, but that's typical.
Yeah.
What I'm saying to you, though, Jerry, is you're acting like it's not acting. Excuse me. I don't want to be. You're saying something that this. Oh no, this is a mercenary. My opinion is that, and this, a lot of coaches are mercenary hires. Now they don't want to be called a mercenary because it has a negative connotation.
Yeah,
but the reality of it is most college coaches, that's their job. It's their job. I mean, we're all mercenary here at some level.
But college basketball is a little different. John Shire's not a mercenary hire by Duke. Hubert Davis is a mercenary hire by North Carolina. College basketball is different in a lot of ways because they hire from the family a lot, right? So there are more non-mercenary hires in college basketball than other sports.
Okay.
I mean, if you look around, you find more guys that were part of the family played at a lot of these schools. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I mean, Mark Pope, they brought a Kentucky guy back home. Remember that on the press conference, he got off the bus with his team, with his teammates from the national championship team. There's more of that in college basketball than other sports of your power sports.
Yeah, Indiana's tried to do that as well. I hear what you're saying now. That's what college basketball has more of a penchant for staying in the family because they know who they can. Yeah.
So, Bobby, here's a question I have for you. Here's what's interesting to me is Jay Wright and I'm not saying Jay Wright's going to be the coach at Texas, but he said something that was I think, such a great point last night. This is why I think CDC has a real opportunity here, a great opportunity in front of him. Jay Wright, before the game last night, they were talking about the SEC. And you got to remember, Jay Wright's a Philly guy, Villanova, Big East. I mean, that boom, won 2 national titles with the 4 or 5 Final Fours there. But what he said last night, and this is saying a lot coming from somebody like him. The SEC is pretty much become destination jobs for people because the league is so great with 14 teams getting in the tournament. As a coach, your odds are going to be higher, the level of athletes in the conference, where the basketball's at, of being in the NCAA tournament. I mean, he gave the SEC a huge compliment last night right before the Xavier Texas game. And with him saying that, he also, without bringing up a Texas job opening potentially, why CDC's in a really good spot with this job opening that we think is coming, because the profile of basketball in the SEC is higher maybe than anywhere else in college basketball right now. And those jobs are looked upon because of TV contracts. Bobby, I want you to get into this. The TV contracts, what's in front of coaches in this conference. We talk football all the time. I get it. But from a basketball standpoint, the teams in the SEC and Big Ten are going to have a higher rev share for basketball than the Big 12 in a lot of ways. And from a profit sharing standpoint, now that doesn't equal the NIL outside of it, but the SEC in basketball, they're going to be in a really high rev share place comparative to other conferences as well.
Texas, look, we can talk about money as it relates to that, but Texas is a have in college sports. And they have times have gone, in my opinion, and I think Jerry's opinion, the cheap way in basketball. With the Moody Center and with Chris Del Conte, that's not happening.
No.
With Kevin Eltife, head of the chair Board of Regents, they're not looking for bargain basement deals right now in this hire. They're looking for somebody to have Texas compete and be among the top 5 or 10 programs in the country. I don't know what else to tell you guys. There was a time when basketball was not as important as another sport. I don't think CDC looks at it that way. I really don't. And I know that the powers that be at Texas don't. They want to win at everything. They want athletics to be the front doorstep of the university. And for them, that means excellence in everything they do. So we'll see where this goes. But financially, they're in good shape. The athletic department right now is in terrific shape. financially and steward wise. And I think those two things are going to allow them to make a hire that will be valuable, make a hire as just about as big as they want to go. It will. Now, it doesn't mean they have to go big. They may find someone they like better. Like a Sean Miller is not necessarily a big hire. You said last night he makes like 3.8 a year. Well, Texas could almost double that salary and not blink. Now, would they? I don't know. But my point being, I don't think this is a salary issue for Texas. I think it's going to be, does this guy have a huge buyout? Some of those sorts of ramifications. But it's not going to be about NIL guarantees or any of those other things. It's going to be about finding the right fit and somebody willing to take on Texas as a job.
All right, we got a lot of people asking about Sean Miller. Actually, a couple of super chats regarding him. This first one here from Jack. Thank you as always, Jack. Do Miller's issues at Arizona cause a problem for CDC? I've heard them referred to, but no idea what they were.
No, I mean, I'm on record. He was going to be the hire the last time. So, no. And by the way, I think Sean Miller's a tremendous basketball coach. You guys, 4 Elite Eights, 8 Sweet 16s. He's been a 5-6 time coach of the year in his conference. I think the guy's tremendous. Look at the NBA guys. Where one of the areas for Texas basketball for me is Sean. I mean, look, he's Xavier. I mean, Sean Miller's a great basketball coach. Just go look at his resume. Look at all the NBA guys. Look at his offense. Listen to the guys talk about his offensive coach. He's an elite offensive coach. He went to a Sweet 16 the first year back at Xavier, but he's got a great resume. He's a great offensive mind. One of the things he did so effectively, and it's at Arizona, and everybody's saying, well, Arizona, that's college basketball. Everybody's doing it. It's who gets caught back in the day. Now it's all legal. Did a great job at international. I've long thought Texas basketball should be a high-level program recruiting internationally because it has a worldwide brand. And they have worldwide players that have come out of Texas in basketball, more so than football, because the basketball is Kevin Durant is a guy that's known everywhere around the world. I mean, so Texas internationally, I think, has always left a lot of meat on the bone in what they could do from a basketball recruiting standpoint. Sean Miller did a hell of a job in evaluation at Arizona. Yes, you can get a lot of good players, but you still have to put it together. You have to pick the right guys and build a roster, and did a great job internationally recruiting. So I think the guy's got a lot of strengths as a college basketball coach if it were to be him. And I'm not saying it is. This is CDC's call, and we'll see where the process goes.
And we've talked about Sean Miller. A lot of people also asking about Will Wade, such as Cody Pack. Why would Texas be interested in Sean Miller, but not interested in Will Wade? We've had a lot of people ask that this morning, actually.
I was just told that he was not going to coach in the SEC. And by the way, he's at NC State.
Yeah, he just took the NC State job.
And I want to say this: he may go on to do great things. I don't think he's. I mean, look, he doesn't have the resume of some others.
Yeah. I think that Will Wade, he went and won at McNeese State after not winning at LSU.
He got to a Sweet 16 at LSU, but yeah.
Once.
Yeah.
I mean, look, that Rodney Terry was in an Elite Eight once.
Yeah.
I mean, the trajectory of that LSU program was not going forward under Will Wade. And then he went and had a reclamation job at McNeese State, where, frankly, I'm told that he had 2 or 3 times the NIL available to him as anybody else in his conference at McNeese State.
Yeah.
So is he a good coach? Probably so. Is he all that? I don't know that he has the pedigree of someone that's been more successful, like a Sean Miller. We'll see. I'm hesitant to say that it's going to be Sean Miller, right? I think that that's a fallback position at some level because people see the natural tie. Because to Jerry's point, Texas was going to go in that direction at one point in time because they had identified Sean Miller. My question here, as it relates to all of this, is when's the timing of all this going to happen? Because I'm most concerned, Jerry, about the portal in basketball, because you don't have, there's no high school kids coming in to mix with your guys that are going to stay on afterwards. Basketball is a complete reconstruction job day one. And if you don't have your ducks in a row from a hiring standpoint, and then that hire doesn't have access or thoughts of how he's going to acquire the talent for the next season, you can kiss next season's basketball team goodbye, because they won't have the dudes. You're not going to get by with Devin Pryor and Kendall Weaver leading you into the Sweet 16, because that's who's coming back next year, theoretically. It's not going to work that way. And so they have to remake this team, and the sooner you get a coach, the sooner you'll have that opportunity. So I've said my piece on that from a timing perspective.
All right, Jerry, if you'll let everyone out there know about Mando, I'd appreciate it.
Oh boy, this is pretty easy after the last 2.5 minutes last night. Who needs some Mando this morning? Whole body deodorant, safe to use anywhere in your body, your pits, your balls, your thigh folds, your belly buttons, and your butt crack, and your feet. Created by a doctor who firsthand saw how normal BO is being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. That's Mando. You have product options here. Very important. Solid deodorant stick formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts, or spray deodorant, aluminum free, and for those ideal and hard to reach places. All products are baking soda free and paraben free. Choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. This is the important part of the read. Oklahoma and A&M fans. Clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. 12 hours after the shower, the average man's Grundle odor level was 5 out of 10, 15 out of 10 A&M baseball right now. With Mando, the average Grundle odor level is 0 out of 10. Boy, doesn't that sound great. Want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula right now? You can find them at Walmart, Target, and other retailers across the country. For the best deals, go to shopmando.com. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer to our listeners at On Texas Football, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack using code ONTEXAS, all caps, at shopmando.com. Take care of your Grundle because nobody else will.
All right, I'm also going to let everyone out there know about Prize Picks. And Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot up to win 1,000 times your money. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. As I said, it's the best way to get action on sports, including in more than 30 states, like right here in the great state of Texas, California, Georgia, and a whole lot more. On Prize Picks, you can mix and match player projections from different sports, combine your favorite basketball players with players from baseball, hockey, esports, and much more. And Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money if one of your picks doesn't hit, and that's what makes Prize Picks great to me. There's been so many times I've played and fell short by maybe 1 pick or sometimes even 2. And with Flex Play, I no longer have to worry about that. I can still win money despite those heartbreaking losses. So download the app today, use code ONTEXAS, and they're going to give you $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, all you have to do is head to the App Store, download the Prize Picks app, and use code ONTEXAS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All right, guys, well, we've talked basketball quite a bit. Of course, we can always come back to it here shortly. And also, we have plenty of time for your questions, so get those in. But let's talk a little football recruiting. There was a commitment, unfortunately, not to Texas, that took place yesterday, and Tristan Keys committing to LSU.
Yeah, wide receiver from Hattiesburg, but he's a guy that Texas will still keep trying to get on campus. And nothing had been scheduled yet. There were some reports out there, but we've been saying Chris Jackson went through in January, working to get him on campus this spring. That recruitment will continue, by the way, for all schools. Tristan Keys is the number 1 or 2 receiver in America out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, committed to LSU. Those visits and that recruitment will continue on, and Texas will continue to try to get him on campus this spring and eventually for an official visit. Again, these recruitments, some of these kids are going to jump on early, and it's going to, Bobby, some people are going to be more aggressive with NIL early, and then some people are going to chill out and wait until June. And that's kind of what we're seeing some right now.
Yeah, and some of these guys may be worth more early. You get a guy like Jamion Winfield, who's one of the top defensive linemen in the country. People jump on him early. Tristan Keys, who's one of the top wide receivers in the country. People jump on him early. That sort of thing's going to happen, right, Jerry, with elite players. So I see that. Other football news for folks. Texas, Steve Sarkisian hiring Kerry Joseph, the former Chicago Bears quarterbacks coach, was not retained when they made a staff change over the offseason. He will be joining the Texas staff in an analyst position, we believe, as of right now. We do not believe he's taking A.J. Milwie's job, for example. But he is a longtime guy that has been around football forever. I actually met him first time. I think he was working the Elite 11 camp way back in the day. He played at McNeese State, brother to Terry Joseph. And I think he's the brother or cousin, I can't remember which, to the former Texas defensive backs coach, Terry Joseph. But Kerry played at McNeese State, had a long-term run across a number of different teams. He played a lot, guys, in the CFL. Like, he had a really long career in the CFL as a quarterback, but he now is a member of the Texas coaching staff. We believe this is to do what Sark has been doing, and that's supplement his back-of-house staff, Jerry and Blake. So good for him and what they're trying to do right now. Another named assistant for Steve Sarkisian.
Okay, let's see here. We have a question. Or actually, we have a super chat real quick. I'm going to go ahead and knock this one out. Trace Little, thank you for your super chat. Rumor is we're hiring Kim Mulkey for the men's basketball.
God dang, we're going to have some great outfits on the sideline then.
Now that I got that one over with, Corey J wants to know, when is the Texas?
Could you imagine Mulkey and Vic working together? Oof.
Oil and water.
Oof.
Oil and water, both with the will to win that is very, very strong.
Man, somebody might get pushed off the fishing boat on that one. All right.
Oh, I have one more before you go on next. I have one more football note that I forgot to add, and then we can get to questions, Blake, if you don't mind. Texas's pro day probably going to start around 2:00 next Tuesday. So I think that we have to be there as media members starting around 12:30. It sounds like it's going to get started around 2. Of course, they'll have the first practice of spring ball earlier that morning. So just give you an idea of heads up for next week, 2:00 or so, we'll begin pro day for the Longhorns next week.
Hey, by the way, somebody, we need to address it because Gus Fleener's having fun with it, and Micah Hudson is available again officially. Yes. He was, I just look, recruiting rankings. We talk about this all the time. Trusting, Sark on this stuff. Sark was all in on Ryan Wingo and not all in on Micah Hudson. And he's being proven correct time and time again, even early on in that one. Just something to keep in mind there.
Yeah, Mike Elko, the A&M, obviously Hudson originally signed with Texas Tech. Texas Tech, then transferred to A&M this offseason. Mike Elko coming out, the Texas A&M head coach yesterday, saying that Micah Hudson is no longer with their football team.
By the way, somebody asked earlier when we were talking about Tristan Keys, I think Ski Brett, I saw the question, I forgot to address at the time. He asked about the defensive lineman in Mississippi that canceled A&M visit for Texas. That is Jeraylen McCoy out of Tupelo, kind of an edge, 5-tech type of guy. He's about 6'6", 245. Another battle royale SEC recruitment. Texas in a lot of those. We had a conversation on ontexasfootball.com. I had a story about that. all the SEC teams in Texas who has visits scheduled to the same schools. But Jarrell McCoy's a kid Texas went to see in January. He's scheduled to be on campus next weekend. Yeah, next weekend's a big visit weekend for Texas. He told me he's on campus next weekend, but will officially visit June 13th. He's a one-time LSU commitment. Your competition is Florida, where he was at last week, and will be back for an official. LSU, Auburn, Texas, Alabama, and Tennessee, I believe. I may be missing one SEC there, but that is the gist of it. Battle Royale, like most of these guys are for Texas and Sark. Gird up your loins in July. It's going to be a fun one. Oh, Aaliyah Chavez update. Hey, we haven't one of those in a while. Blake, Aaliyah announces her decision in 5 days. March 25th, right around the corner. Texas, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, still the 3 teams. Nothing's changed there. I'm going to stay on the same boat I have been. If she doesn't pick a Nike school, I'll be pretty surprised. And that's either Texas or Oklahoma. And while Oklahoma wears Jumpman, they're obviously Nike. I'll be very surprised if it's not that. Not saying it can't happen. I'll just be surprised.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's one of the two, 1A, 1B. Texas Tech running a distant third, and Oklahoma still making a very strong push late in the recruitment. So we'll see what happens. They are keeping it very tight-lipped right now, I guess you could say. There's not a whole lot leaking out about that recruitment at this time, especially as we get closer to next week's announcement.
David Rawls, yes. Jarrell McCoy to Ole Miss. Thank you. It wasn't Tennessee, it was Ole Miss. Not Mississippi State, Ole Miss for Jarrell McCoy.
Antoine wants to know if y'all have any Melvin Hills updates.
Had a solid redshirt year. I think he was around 305, 307 pounds for a lot of that redshirt season. Plays really hard, got a really good motor, soaks in information from Kenny Baker and the defensive staff. Is thought to be a guy that could be a solid rotational player early on in his career. We'll see, obviously, if that continues to transpire this spring. But he's been thought of as a guy who can be a solid rotational player for Texas. A lot of motor, a lot of want to with him, and he cares about football. Football matters to him. So we'll see this spring if he's able to hold off Myron Charles, Josiah Sharma, some of those really talented guys coming in. And I put Justice Terry in a little different category. He's in the D-line meeting room, but he'll be working at both some edge and some 5 and some 3 as he continues to build his frame. He was 273 pounds a week and a half ago. Melvin's got to hold off those young, talented guys behind him, but he is thought of as a guy who could be a good, solid rotational player right now. At Skibrex asking if Rodney Terry has about $4.5 to $5 million. Bobby, I think is the number.
I think it's 4.5 was the number.
No, that's the other thing. That's the other thing with RT is, look, 2 weeks ago I was told by a college coach that would know that Rodney was being seriously considered for the USF job. Well, since then, UNLV's also come open, and I had somebody tell me that if Rodney would have a chance to get in on the UNLV job. So a lot of question around the timing of all this too is Rodney will get another head coaching job. Could it be USF? Could it be UNLV? If he gets one of those jobs, then Texas would not have to pay the $4.5 million buyout.
If he gets the job beforehand, because remember, South Florida did that with Charlie Strong. There is to your point, though, Jerry, there is an opportunity for Texas to, if they play it right, to defray some of that buyout money into another university. But I just don't. I think those things are nice to talk about. Like I got to be honest. I'm not so sure Rodney Terry gets another head coaching job like that. Now maybe UNLV or South Florida, somebody like that that's just in need of a coach. He had his work this year did not. He finished 14th out of 16 teams in a league. And now you can say how great that league is and all that. He still finished 14th out of 16. That's not a resume that gets you hired. I don't care if you're in the first 4 of the final of the NCAA tournament or not. At the end of the day, I mean, Chris Del Conte, if you finish 14th of 16th in your conference, he's going to be looking to replace you. So why does that guy all of a sudden become a hot name at South Florida or UNLV? I mean,
I get it. I think because he did take Fresno to the NCAA tournament, and look, wrong or right. But I mean, he's a guy that he'll get one of those mid-level jobs if he wants one. The question that will be interesting with him is you're owed money if you sit out for a year.
Yeah.
More than what you would make at a UNLV. So if you can get obviously if you're a coach and you can get a job like UNLV, you're going to take that job and restart your clock and be willing to part with the 4.5 year owed or whatever that is. So it's going to be interesting timing wise. Somebody's asked about Ben McCollum at Drake. I think Ben McCollum's a tremendous young coach. The one thing for him, and he's going to have to prove this. I'm not saying he can or can't do it. He had the slowest pace in college basketball this year, 61 possessions per game. It's hard to watch for me. Really good coach. As he moves up in his career, as good a coach as he has been, great. Started on the D2 levels, worked his way. It brought a lot of his guys to Drake with him. He's going to have to play a faster style. 61, 62, 63 possessions per game is not what kids are looking for. And I'm not saying he can or can't do it, but he's going to have to do it. As he moves up in the game, if he plays that low of possession game, he's going to have a hard time getting the guys the talent level to play for him that he would absolutely need to go compete against the Nate Oateses and Todd Goldens and those faster-paced guys of the world who have a NBA style and kids want to play for NBA styles. I mean, that's just something, and I think the guy's a tremendous young coach. He's going to have to kind of evolve a little bit or adapt, which I think he can do from where he's at in Drake right now in possessions per game. That kids aren't going to flock to play for that.
Now we have a super chat here from Jackson S. Thank you, Jackson. Who's on your coaching wish list? Not realistic, but mine are Hammond. If the Spurs don't take her, McCollum, Miller, or Ivy, swing for the fences, says Jackson.
Who outside? You mentioned Sean Miller.
Yeah.
You mentioned Royal Ivy before. Who are some others that you really think should be involved here, Jerry? Hammond is an interesting one. Spurs assistant.
I mean, so are we talking the unicorns like everybody's in dreamland list, or are we talking real?
Like Jay Wright and Quinn Snyder and those kind of
Rick Pitino and Bill Self and Scott Drew and all those. Those are your unicorns or your dreamland as you drift in the dreamland. And doesn't mean somebody's dreams can't come true, but the probability is very low. For me, if you start at, really good coaches probably would make a move. Sean Miller, TJ Altenberger from Iowa State could be tough. His wife went there. There's some Greg McDermott at Creighton, really good offensive mind. I don't think Texas fans would like it, but Mick Cronin is trying to get Villanova right now. Is probably ready to get out. Brad Brownell at Clemson, I think, is a really good basketball coach. And sometimes it takes these guys a while to find their way, too. You know, Brownell was really good at Wright State in a couple of places. Took him a while at Clemson, went to an Elite Eight last year, has a really good team again this year. But whoever it is, it's got to be a high-level offensive guy. And there just aren't – there's good offensive coaches, but there's very few that fall into that high-level offensive mind, that mindset, that video we showed with Dan Hurley. That mindset and building that staff around you that I think is European offensive model, NBA offensive model. That's what Texas is going to be after, in my opinion.
Okay. And then a lot of people also, we've been talking Sean Miller. A lot of people have asked about his recruiting ability, Jerry, such as Rudy O here says, what kind of recruiter is Miller? We've probably had 5 to 10 questions on that.
Yeah. So for me, recruiting is pretty much transactional now. So it's different. Like recruiting 10 years ago where you're signing 4- and 5-man high school classes is by the wayside. Recruiting is pretty much transactional if we're just being real here. So to me, more important than that is talent evaluation, fitting a roster together, maximizing those pieces offensively. And if you're asking me my thoughts on Sean Miller in that regard, I think he's tremendous at it. And I think if he's at a major university, he will excel like he already did once. I mean, Xavier's doesn't have the NIL game. They're not bad. They're not bad, but they're not competing at the highest level. So if you put him in a situation in a program where they are, that guy will ascend. He'll do very well. I'm not saying he's going to win a national title. There's a lot of guys that have it. But he would Texas would be very, very good with him if that's who it ends up being, in my opinion.
Okay, before we move on here, I'm going to tell everyone out there about Cure because it's a plant-based hydrating electrolyte drink mix with no added sugar. It's a natural, delicious, and convenient way to keep you and your whole family hydrated, but without the artificial stuff. I'm very selective on what I put in my body, so Cure is right up my alley. It's made with clean ingredients, which means you stay healthy and you stay energized, but without the crash. And hydration is key to feeling your best, and Cure makes it easier than ever. I drink it every single morning to start my day, usually right here on Coffee and Football. I actually got it right beside me. It tastes great. They offer 7 amazing flavors that you'll love. It's really convenient as well. You can take it with you anywhere. Each bag that they send you contains 14 on-the-go packets that you just dump in a bottle of water, shake it up, and you're all set. Hydration goes beyond just drinking water. It's about replenishing the electrolytes we lose through sweat, sleep, alcohol, and daily activities. Water alone isn't enough to do the job. That's why you need to try Cure, the electrolyte drink mix that tastes as amazing as it makes you feel. And for OTF listeners, Cure is offering 20% off your first order. Stay hydrated and feel your best by visiting curehydration.com/OnTexas and using promo code OnTexas at checkout. Again, that's curehydration.com/OnTexas and use promo code OnTexas for 20% off your first order. And Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Ernie.com.
Yeah, absolutely. As we are all aware, March Madness is here, and so is the Ernie Tourney, the first ever intercollegiate bracket challenge. If you're into brackets, you might want to give them a try. Think you've got the best bracket? Prove it against OU, A&M, and the entire SEC. The school with the most points takes home the Ernie Cup. Texas fans all compete together. Highest scoring individual bracket wins $5,000. Texas fans, this is your chance to showcase your knowledge. Don't let the Aggies, Sooners, or anyone else take the crown. Rep your school and bring the Ernie Cup home. Download the Ernie Sports app today or go to Ernie.com to enter now. It gets the entries close here in the next hour or so as we get prepared for Thursday's March Madness. So please look into that and get that taken care of quickly before the brackets close, not just for Ernie.com, but wherever you play your brackets.
Okay, I think Jerry's back, so we're going to add him back into the mix. And we got some more questions, fellas. Let's see here. Let's take this one from Text Boy Teddy. He says, were y'all surprised to see Trey Wisner on the list of non-quarterback Heisman hopefuls for FanDuel? And I actually did a little digging into this. And he is way down the list. So here's like the top 10, 12. You got Arch Manning there at the top with the best odds along with Garrett Nussmeier. So Trey is actually plus 20,000. So he's, a good chunk down that list. But just to give y'all an idea of this, Ryan Wingo's on there at plus 40,000. Colin Simmons is on there at plus 50,000. So basically, this is more of a list of about 100 or so names across college football. But with that said, your thoughts on what he asked?
From backup third string running back to Heisman hopeful is my thoughts. That's a pretty strong year for Trey Wisner. My hat's off to the young man. I mean, a lot of people get opportunities in life. I mean, we all do. Sometimes we make the most of them. Sometimes we don't. Anybody here doubt that Trey Wisner was ready and made the most of his opportunity? I don't. I'm happy for that guy and wish him, everything possible from that standpoint for him. And good for him. I doubt he wins the Heisman. I genuinely do. But to the point there, good for him. Happy for him, man. Good things happen to people that put in the effort and work behind the scenes when nobody's watching. He's a third string running back, a possible gunner going into that last season. His role heading into last year, as predicted by me, before Cedric Baxter got going, was to be a gunner.
Yeah.
And a possible third down back. It was not to rush for 1,000 yards. So my hat's off. Like I said, my hat's off to the kid. Great job. Way to do it.
Boston Celtics being sold for $6 billion.
Yeah,
wow.
I saw that.
I bet CDC bought him, and now Brad Stevens will be the coach at Texas. Good job, CDC. Way to be. That's chess. That's championship chess.
That's chess. That's like that's playing chess.
Yes. The University of Texas bought the Boston Celtics, and now Brad Stevens will be the head basketball coach at Texas. That's chess.
That is the largest sale ever for a sports franchise in North America. By the way, $6.1 billion for this.
That's only because Jerry Jones won't sell the Cowboys.
Yeah. Definitely.
Hey, the Austin Celtics, Sandman 0023 coming through as usual. Yeah. So somebody's asking about Jabari Mack, receiver from Destrehan. Official visit to Texas June 13th. One of the 6 receivers that have official visits scheduled. I just don't. I mean, we'll see where all the keys, commitment, everything goes. I had 2 takeaways from Jabari Mack. One, really talented player. I think Texas is in the game there. They're going to be hanging around the rim there. I also remember thinking to myself, and I think I texted our group, that one of the things I noticed at Texas Junior Day on January 20th was somebody in his family had yellow Nikes with purple socks and purple hair. And I said, woo, that's a – you're walking into the Moncrief Newhouse with a lot of LSU on your body. So he's from Destrehan. It'll be a battle, but I think Texas I think Chris Jackson is putting in a lot of work there, and the Texas offense, the scheme is inviting. And we'll see if that family member changes their shoes, socks, and hair. It's a lot to overcome in recruiting, I've learned.
There's somebody in chat asking about Horn 7. What record would it take for OU to move on from Brent Venables? 7 wins or less, maybe, is my thought process. And I don't know if he's going to get there. He got a tough schedule. We'll see. I actually think they're in good shape, especially on defense this year. But the reason I brought that up is I want to ask the same question for Brian Kelly at LSU, Jerry, because you just mentioned Jabari Mack at Destrehan and Tristan Keys, the wide receiver at Hattiesburg that's committed to them. You know, Brian Kelly, I mean, you talk about a talent. He had the best quarterback in the country last year or 2 years ago, and Jaden Daniels goes and takes the Commanders to the playoffs in his first year as a starter. He had the 2 best receivers probably in I'm forgetting their names right now. Brian Thomas and who's the other one? Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
And yet they didn't do anything with them. They won a Heisman, but they didn't go to the playoffs. If LSU doesn't make the playoffs with a returning starting quarterback in Nussmeier, all that talent they have collected around him at receiver, at running back, even on defense, they've got good talent. If they don't go to the playoffs this year, I think Brian Kelly's on the chopping block. He just, I feel pretty strongly about that. He has not been the fit in Baton Rouge because he hasn't won as big as they'd like him to. But that's going to be a big one for more, as much or more than OU, because Texas is recruiting as much or more against LSU nowadays than they are Oklahoma.
Yeah. Hey, for the OU question, I think Sandman may hit the nail on the head on this. 8 wins if one of them is Texas against that schedule, 8-4.
Yeah. I think that's
I would say Brent Venables needs to beat if he's at 7 wins and a loss to Texas. Gone.
I think it's 7 wins. He loses. It beats Texas. He's gone.
Yeah.
They're not. A&M's or OU's not going to handle 3 out of 4 years of mediocrity, which is what they've had under him. His first 3 years, 2 mediocre years, 1 good year. Not a great year, but a good year.
And we have a super chat from Splendid Daddy. Thank you, Splendid Daddy. Does OU have anything to build on if Venable stays?
Dude, I like their defensive talent right now. And I think they've got 2 young offensive linemen. I was told the other day, not only is Michael Fasusi looking good, there's a lot of chatter about Ryan Foji, who Texas offered, Jerry, out of Cypress, Texas. He's a guy. They like some of their young players. Is Brent Venables going to be there to develop them? Is a fair question, I think.
All right, our next question is a super chat from Michael. Thank you, Michael Schuler. And he says, not looking for a will he or won't he answer, but is it crazy to be concerned about losing C4 with such a huge emergence of Trey Wisner? Or is it more likely than not be a different back looking for greener pastures?
Man, I don't think it's crazy about losing Cedric Baxter. I mean, you're not going to lose. I would say this: it's unlikely you lose him if he returns to 100% health, because him at 100% health is a very different running back than Trey Wisner. I still think Trey Wisner runs outside zone better than Cedric Baxter, by the way. So there are things that Trey Wisner does better than Cedric Baxter. The one thing he doesn't have is Trey Wisner just doesn't have that body lean, that natural body lean that gets you 3 yards in the SEC as opposed to 1.5. You know, so Michael, I think it depends on how well Baxter heals, and if he heals entirely, I don't think you have to worry about it. If he doesn't, all bets are off, because then he's going to be. I think he won't just be behind Trey Wisner. He may be behind other people too, because that there's a very slim margin of error there coming back from the amount of surgeries that he's at, or the type of surgery that he had.
Yeah. Hey, I want to take a second and reset, because we have a lot of people coming into the show. We did a live stream last night after the basketball game. We're same page as Jeff Goodman's of the world. We expect there to be a change at Texas men's basketball. The update I had was the Texas team is still in Dayton, Ohio this morning. They don't fly back till around lunchtime. CDC obviously is not in Dayton. Somebody pointed out last night he's been in Austin and Houston. So anybody expecting anything, last night or with your coffee this morning, that's not the scenario that was going to play out. But we do expect that to happen. Is the win. Is that going to happen? And there's a lot of things that play into all this. The portal opens March 25th, runs through April 15th. Could RT get another job? Because there is buyout there. It's not a big number, but anything is 4.5, 5 million, whatever it is. That's considerable if there's another job opportunity out there. So that's kind of where it's at. But the team does not return back from Dayton, and I think they fly out around 11, something like that. So early afternoon. CDC obviously was in Houston with Sark. It's been in Austin and Houston, was not at the game last night. So people are looking for timing, but we're on the same page as we said last night on our live stream after the game. We expect there's going to be a change.
Very much.
But anybody reporting that RT has already been let go, as of when we started this show, that had not happened yet. Now, could it have happened in the last 12, 15 minutes? But it had not happened at 8 when we started the show.
Before we get to our last couple of questions today, Bobby, I'm going to tell everyone about Vaughn Lane one last time.
Yeah, absolutely. Tired of the hassle of flying or driving? Skip the airport stress and highway headaches. Travel in first-class comfort with Vaughn Lane. We've had a few people say they see the Vaughn Lane buses going back and forth on I-35. The luxury motor coach service connects major Texas cities. Now Vaughn Lane has expanded into the Southeast, offering routes between Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, with spacious reclining seats, complimentary snacks, and drinks on every trip and meal service on select departures. Von Lane makes travel stress-free and comfortable. Need to relax? Enjoy hot towel service, eye masks, pillows, and blankets, all included. Stay productive with high-speed Wi-Fi and power outlets at every seat. Upgrade your travel experience today. Visit vonlane.com. Use promo code OTF25 for $20 off your first trip. Von Lane, it's first-class travel without the hassle. Guys, if you just got to go down to Austin or Dallas or to Houston for a business trip one day, try Von Lane. Give them a chance. I think you'll be really happy with the level of service and time, et cetera, that you get. Again, that's vonlane.com. Consider a luxury bus coach travel between major cities in the state of Texas.
Okay, let's see here. As I said, we got time for just another question or two. We're going to take this one from Frank since we've been talking running backs as well. And Frank says, could Gibson make that Wisner sophomore leap?
It's a great question. So on Jarrett Gibson, I think his talent level is absolutely there. His whole key, one, ball security, but why ball security? I think the biggest thing, we've talked about this with young backs, and I think they call Jarrett Gibson, nicknamed him Baby Rhino. All backs always are going to uncoil on guys. They're going to drop hips, drop shoulders, as you should on contact, and naturally your head drops a little bit. But the key for all those backs is how quickly your eyes get back up and see the second contact. And that helps your contact balance. That helps your ball security, knowing where the next guy's coming from. I think if Jarrett Gibson makes a jump there, I think he has a chance to be a very good player for Texas. Now, do all backs, Bobby, always get out, make that next step of getting their eyes up quicker on contact so they can maximize yards after contact and can run through multiple tacklers? I can't say that. But I think if Jarrett makes a natural progression there, he'll be a quality player. His talent level's there. His want to's there. His physicality is there. His feet are there.
Look, here's the reality of it, Jerry. I think that we're looking at a situation where Texas needs to find that back that is a complement to Trey Wisner. Jarrett Gibson would be a natural one to hope that it is, because he's more of a power back. But we'll see what happens. Hey, there is some breaking news. Blake, will you please bring up this tweet? And Jerry, this leans in a little bit to what you were talking about. Jeff Goodman, and this is a quote from I think he's with ESPN now. Jerry, I've known Jeff for 30 years.
Jeff is he's field of 68. He's independent.
Okay, gotcha. Well, he's been with all of them. Major reporter. Texas is expected to make it official soon. Yep. That it is making a move with Rodney Terry and will be looking for a new head coach. A source told the field of 68.
Yep.
I've got to be honest. This is in line with what we've been reporting for 2 weeks. Yep. Rodney Terry had to make a move in the NCAA tournament. Had to get into it first of all, and then do something once he got there. Fell well short of that goal. And this is when will it happen? To Jerry's point, the team is still in Dayton. You would think that CDC is probably not going to do this via text, but he could do it via phone call with Rodney Terry. We'll see. That somebody wrote this in the chat, and excuse me for the language ahead of time, but what a shitty flight home. If you're that basketball team and you know your coach just got fired or going to get, yikes. That would be that ain't the kind of plane I want to be on. I'll put it that way.
And again, we've been in line with this. We have threads at ontexasfootball.com. A lot of responses over there. If you guys aren't on there, come be part of that conversation. Look, it's going to be an offensive-minded coach. It's going to be a high-level offensive-minded coach in everything I've heard, and I'm happy to hear that because that is my opinion of where this thing needs to go. Look, last time before – I just want to lay this out a little bit. Last time before RT was named the head coach after the run to the Elite Eight, there was contact made on some level to a lot of unicorns, and a lot of those guys said no, or all those guys said no at the time. Does that mean all the same guys are going to say no this time? I don't know. $8 million a year and a $18 million budget's a pretty big thing. But there will be guys that say no. Yeah, they're at their job. They're at their final job. They don't want to make the move, right?
Jay Wright was one of those, by the way.
Jay Wright, Mark Few was one of those last time. I mean, so there's the effort on those guys, but it doesn't mean they're going to do it. And Sean Miller, I think, from what I heard, was the guy last time until, that Sweet 16 game. Is he going to be the guy this time? We shall see. I think he's a tremendous offensive basketball coach, and I think he would do very, very well at Texas if he's the hire. I'm not saying he is going to be the hire, but if he is, I think he'll do extremely well at Texas. But it'll be interesting to see where this goes. We will have more and more on this on the website. We can't be on live here all the time, so come join us over there and get in the conversation, get in the fray. But we'll see where it goes. But I think CDC is going to make the correct hire for Texas basketball. I'll say that.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Vaughn Lane. We want to thank them, along with Cure Hydration, Prize Picks, Mando, and Ernie.com, all for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. Don't forget, we can't be live all the time. So as Jerry said, head on over to ontexasfootball.com to further the discussion. And you can become a member very easily if you haven't already. Just use promo code OTFOG, and you can get an annual subscription for $49.95. Again, that's OTFOG at ontexasfootball.com. But, Bobby, as far as YouTube goes, what do you have later today?
Well, we're waiting to see what happens with Rodney Terry. That's going to be a primary discussion point, I think. Also, we have football theory coming with Rod Babers, Jeff Howe. Then we have the winning drive this afternoon. Coach Bob Shipley gets in. Has his piece to say alongside CJ Vogel and Rod as well. Look, a lot of news and will be breaking today is our expectation. And so like last night, I mean, we did an emergency podcast. I think Jerry and I talked about it, and I think we did it at like 10:45 last night. If news breaks on the Longhorns, you can bet On Texas Football is going to be there to cover it one which way or another. That's our promise to you guys. Thank y'all for being here with us. And as we get out of here today, I want to say this. I wish nothing but the best of luck to Rodney Terry, his staff, his players, etc. I don't think they quit this season. I don't think they quit on him. I just think they got out-executed and outplayed. And there's a difference. And so, Rodney Terry, you've done Texas proud in so many ways, but I think the time has come for CDC to make that decision.
All right, well, we will be back same time, same place tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you.